Today we are going to discuss about data imports and exports. The name itself suggests that we're going to import and export the data from the Salesforce. Okay, what is import and what is export means? Import means loading the data into Salesforce, and export means download the data from Salesforce. Okay, what are all the different import tools available in-house Salesforce and outside Salesforce? For importing the data, we have a data import wizard. Okay, in data import wizard, what we can do is we can insert or update the data using CSV files. Max we can load 50,000 per file. Okay, how we can say it? So I logged in. Here search for a import wizard, data import wizard. In this data import wizard, we have all some instructions and all. What is the process? And once you select, there you can see standard objects and custom objects. The problem is we cannot load data into all standard objects. There are very some limited objects only we can load the data. Whereas custom objects, we can load the data into all objects. But there are more standard objects. We cannot load data using a data import wizard. That is a drawback. And maximum we can load 50,000 records only. Okay, now custom objects. Okay, let's take location. Okay, so when loading a location, what are all I need? Location name, state, and then a city, what is that? Approval status. That's all I need to load a location. Okay, let me quickly prepare a file. So let's prepare a file of locations. Okay, so in locations, what we need? First thing is a location name, and then followed by a state, and then city. These are the three what we need. And next one is approval status. Okay, fine. Um, Oh, can you name some locations actually?
బస్ స్టాప్ అలా ఉంది లొకేషన్ అంటే.
ఏదో ఒక ఏరియా. మనం జూబ్లీ హిల్స్ అని పెట్టనుకోండి, బంజారా హిల్స్, అమీర్పేట్, ఇలాగా ఏరియాస్. సో, for example, these are the locations. Okay, so I have this locations. Now I want to load this data into a Salesforce. Okay, first thing I have to save it in a CSV file. Okay, CSV file, and then save. Okay, my file is ready. Now in the data import wizard, I'll select the location object and I select a new records, update records, and new and update existing records. Okay. Now, do I need to match by anything? Okay, match with the name. In which user field in the file is the record owner. So I don't need it. That would be fine. So you want to trigger workflow rules and process or not? You can skip by using data import wizard. If you want to trigger or like if you want to skip, you have option to both while using a data import wizard. Okay, now let's load the file. Either you can drag and drop or you can pick and browse the file also. Both you can do. I know because I gave a exact name matches, it automatically picked up. So if you want to change this one, so you can pick up from here. Okay, so it is done. And I'm clicking on the next and start import. Okay, so it's saying you will get an email notification once it is done. So it's saying progress is 100%. And there are 0 failed records and records process 100. Sorry, 10. Okay, let's see whether it's really inserted the data or not. Okay, refresh. And look at all the data. So you can see we have all the data in here. So just think, if you want to really create a location, it will take time. But I was able to create the data in very less time. Okay, so in data import wizard, what we can do, either we can import the data and update the data, or clubbing some of them inside and some of them update. Okay, but if something fails, that is a headache for me. So I need to download the result, view result. So here what I'll say, I don't have this information, just I have a ID of it, and I have a success, or like it's created or not. Only these flags only I will have, but I don't know exactly what is the data inserted. It's not coming along with the data. That is some kind of a drawback, but it will be in the same order what I used. Okay, so what we can do, insert, update, upset, can be possible with the data import wizard. Okay, fine. Now, how to export the data? Export means downloading the data from a Salesforce. So we can download from reports. Reports can be used to download the data. So first you need to build the report, and what are the fields you want to add here. And then only you can export the data from a reports. And download formats you have, right, like the Excel or CSV. You can use whichever option you wanted. You can download, or you can even subscribe. That will also to directly send to your email the attachment. Or suppose there's one more option here to download. That is a data export. This data export, will help you in exporting the whole org information at a time. You have hundreds of objects here and millions of records in your objects. How you can download at a time? Or for example, if you want to back up your data before doing some operation, and what we can do is we can use this data export to export the data in a single time. So the problem is, once you export, you have to wait for 48 hours to again upload the data. And once you click on export now, at that time, whatever the data is there, the same file will be available for this 48 hours. And again, when you do export, then only at that point of time, when it's preparing the file, at that time, what is the data, only that will be exported. Suppose you exported yesterday and the file is ready, and today and tomorrow you created some more records. Those records will not be there in your data export. And even you can schedule export. It can be kind of weekly or once in a 3 days or something, so that the file will be there for 2 days. And if you are exporting, it will be there. If you don't export, and again it will be again erased from the system. Again you need to export. If I click on export now, it will ask what are all the objects data you wanted to export. So these many objects are there in your arc now. So include all data will include everything. And it's asking whether you need images, documents, attachments as well, and if you need the Salesforce files and documents and CRM contents. So I don't need as of now. So I don't need just a record data only. Okay, I'm doing a start export. So it will take some time to okay, that is one. So meanwhile it is getting ready. So we'll see the other ones. So these are like what I explained so far is a in-house or a inside within the Salesforce options to do it. So we have an external tool called a data loader for import and export of data. So advantage of it is it can support up to 5 million records in imports. And we have more operations can be performed. That is like insert, update, upsert, delete, export, export all. So here the most interesting are export and export all. The advantage of export and export all is we can write the query to export the data. So it will be kind of what fields we want to export and what condition it has to meet. If you give certain conditions, then it will export the data from that object. But we can export single object at a time from a data loader. Both export and export all both will give you the data from a single object at a given point of time. But you can pick up the fields and conditions for that object. It will export all the data from the selected object. Whereas export all same whatever we have in the export, the same thing will applicable for export all also. Including the data in recycle bin. Suppose if you delete a data in a object, what will happen? The record will go to a recycle bin. But if you do a normal export, the deleted records will not be exported. But when you do export all, you will get the data in the object along with the recycle bin. So how we can differentiate between a data in an object and data in the recycle bin in export all file is it will be in the same file. There is system field called is deleted. Boolean value will help you identifying the deleted records. If this field value is true, that means that record is deleted. If it is a false, means that is coming from directly from the object. By filtering on this field, you will understand that record is a deleted record or a not deleted record. And coming to insert, it's creating a new records how we did now. It's a similar thing. And update. On update, along with the data, Salesforce ID or external ID is required to update the records. Okay, why? Because if you're saying like it has to be updated, there should be a unique identifier. Salesforce will default to the Salesforce ID as its unique identifier. You have to provide the Salesforce ID or external ID to update the record. And then we have option called delete. Only one field is required to delete records, and we don't need to give an entire data. Only one field is, that is a Salesforce ID is required to delete records in Salesforce using a data loader. Okay, upset. Upset is nothing but we can perform the insert and update operation in the same file. We can perform insert and update records in same file. So in the file, if you give the ID column with some values, those will get updated. If ID is missing, then those records will get inserted using the same file. You don't need as two files for insert and update. In the same file itself, you can do a upset. That is the advantage of it. Now, overall thing was what was the operation you do in a using a data loader. You will be having a separate files called error file and success file. In this file, you will be having a status of the operation, the success, failed, and failed reason will be given along with the data you loaded. Success will have one file, so whatever the data you loaded, next to it, what's the Salesforce ID, and what is the operation happened. And with the error log, what are the file you loaded along with that error message and reason. So that it will be easy to analyze or like re-upload the data which are all failed and which are all success. Okay, let's see the data export is ready now or not. Let's refresh this one. Yep, its data is ready and you will get like this zip file download. And maximum size of this zip file is a 512 MB. If your ARC data is more than 512 MB, then you will get a multiple zip files over here, and you have to download each file. There's no other option. Okay, if I download this file and extract, you can see each object. Every object, you will see a different CSV file, which are just you can extract and see all the object data here. Okay. This is how we export the data from a Salesforce. Okay. Now let's see a data loader. So data loader is a tool, external tool that we have to use. So it will give option to install the data loader. So here you have Windows installation instructions and Mac installation instructions. It will navigate to your standard Salesforce documentation. What all the steps need to be followed to install a data loader. First thing was you have to install the Java. So this tool is on a Java base and you need at least 11 Java 11 version or later version. This data loader to be worked, and then you have to download the file, and then so there is an option actually in the other file. Once it is downloaded, so double click on this install batch file to install. Specify the install data loader, select whether override or existing installation, and then it will create a shortcut at your menu. So I have already installed this data loader. So this is the app. So I already opened it here. So this is how the data loader will be look like. Okay. So if you want to download, you have a download data loader for Windows, which will download you the file for you, and then you can go ahead and install it. Okay, let's see here what are all the options available. First thing was whenever you see insert, update, upsert, delete, export and export all. For each, you have if you select any option, you have to log into your org first. So production or sandbox. All our developer editions are production environments only. And when you are really working in real time, you have to choose either sandbox or a production one. Okay, let's log into our now production and click on a login. So it will ask for a username and password. Forward option. It will send a note. You can see once the export is ready, you'll get a mail like this. Your export is ready, and click link to download the file. So here I need to give a verification. So verify the code and then allow here, then only it will allow you to um, use the data loader. Okay, it's saying login successful and click on this next. Okay, where you want to insert the data. Okay, let's insert the data into a um, account object. First, I have to prepare a file, right? So account. So what we need an account name. There is only required field on an account to be loaded. But let's see some of the fields and load it. accounts. Click on new account. Account name and rating would be hot and warm, cold. Okay, now this one. So close. Rating, industry. So what are the rating values? Hot, warm, cold. Hot, warm, cold. Okay. And what else I have? Account number. Account number I have. And then ownership. I have private, public, hmm, other subsidiary, other. Okay, I have subsidiary and type, prospect, and what else I have? Hmm, installation partner, installation space partner. Okay, and annual revenue. I said industry. Where is the industry? Okay, industry. You have a banking, agriculture. Okay, that is enough for me. Let's create some of the accounts. Okay, so I have some of the names over here and ratings and account numbers. I just give some random number and drag it. Okay, and there is a ownership. I'm going to repeat and type. I'm going to use an annual revenue. Okay, my data is ready now. These are the data I want to save. Okay, file, save as. Account CSV and save. Okay, so my file is ready. Maybe like we'll rejoin and continue from here. Okay, let's join back.